We often live with the quiet assumption that death is a hard stop, a moment where everything we are simply ceases to exist. But as Jayne died, she found herself in a vacuum of total darkness, with her awareness fully intact. She was thinking clearly, wondering how she could possibly still know anything if she was supposed to be gone. Then she felt a physical shift. With a gentle whoosh that she could both feel and hear, her essence exited through the top of her head. She found herself standing in a gray mist. In that moment, the realization hit her. She had physically died. Instead of the terror she expected, she was overcome by a thrill. She was still alive and fully aware. This realization sparked a rush of gratitude, a wordless thank you for the fact that she had not been destroyed. As that gratitude poured out of her, a brilliant white light began to infiltrate her consciousness. It felt like being cradled by a force that was dynamic, palpable, and entirely safe. Knowledge arrived not in sentences, but as instant, heavy blocks settling on her. The first revealed she was eternal, indestructible, impossible to ever be lost. A second block showed the universe runs on a perfect plan, rendering earthly struggles and perceived cruelties entirely meaningless. The ecstasy of this light continued to build until she reached a breaking point. She wondered how much more she could take before she shattered, and the moment she had that thought, the light began to recede. It seemed the universe has its own failsafe, ensuring that we only receive as much intensity and joy as we are able to handle at one time. The withdrawal of that energy left her with a few seconds of amnesia, but as the fog cleared, she found herself standing in a hyper-vivid green meadow. The flowers here didn't reflect light from a sun. Instead, each glowed with a soft internal luminescence originating from the center of its life. She saw a group of about 20 people in simple robes standing on a low hill. Wanting to speak with them, she found herself at the top of the hill instantly, as if her thoughts were her only means of travel. One man stood out, tall, wearing a purple robe, with a noble and spiritual face. He radiated an authority that made her feel she could trust him completely. He explained that it wasn't her time to stay. Their conversation happened through mental transmission. They didn't move their mouths, yet she could clearly hear the sound and character of his voice in her inner ear. This meadow served as a bridge, a place where the newly departed could process their transition and find answers to the questions they brought from the world they left behind. Seeking clarity on her earthly life, Jayne asked the guide the question that weighs on so many: "What about my sins?" The guide told her that sins don't exist in the way we think of them on Earth. Here, the only thing that had any meaning was what was in her heart. He asked her to look inside herself. Looking into her very essence, she saw that her core was nothing but perfect love and gentleness. She felt a shock of recognition, wondering how she could have ever forgotten something so basic. When she asked what the world was all about, the guide answered in just 2 or 3 simple sentences. It was an explanation so straightforward that it triggered another of course moment, reconnecting her to a truth that felt ancient and familiar. But there was a condition for her return. She could take the answer about her sins back to Earth, but the specific sentences explaining the universe would be wiped from her memory. The return was violent. She heard a rapid, loud banging, followed by a sharp electronic click, like a tape recorder stopping, and suddenly she was back in her body, her doctor standing over her. Jayne spent years trying to recall those final sentences, but they remained out of reach. However, she realized the core of the message was already revealed in the meadow. If our essence is perfect love, then the journey is simply about moving that truth from our unconscious into our daily conscious awareness.